This video talks about pyridoxine. Now, pyridoxine is also called B6. Okay, how would you remember where do we use pyridoxine? You can remember it using the three A's and a C. The first A stands for AST, the second A stands for ALT, and the third A stands for delta ALA, and the C stands for cystathionine synthase. AST and ALT is part of the protein catabolism. Delta ALA is part of the heme synthesis, and cystathionine synthase is being used when converting homocysteine to cystathionine, and we're also using B6 along with that. We're going to go over each of these steps individually. But first, let's talk about the toxicities associated with B6. See how there is a 6 here? As a result, it's going to be 6 toxicities. How about that, right? And the toxicities are, there's A's and C's, and then there's also C's and S's in the toxicities. There's 4 C's and 2 S's. The first C is the common cause. The most common cause of pyridoxine toxicity is isoniazid therapy. This is used in TB. When we're treating TB, but if we give them pyridoxine, then it is going to prevent neuropathy. We know that one, right? That's the most common cause of pyridoxine toxicity. The next C is coma and convulsions. These two are part of the CNS toxicity, right? Followed by chelosis and stomatitis, crackling and scaling of the tongue. That is also associated with pyridoxine toxicity. And the last but not the least is sideroblastic anemia. So that is also associated with pyridoxine toxicity. So you can kind of remember that it causes CNS toxicity, it causes changes in the tongue, crackling and scaling of the tongue, it causes effect on the blood, it causes sideroblastic anemia. So all these are associated with pyridoxine toxicity. So now let's talk about the pathways where we do see pyridoxine being used. So first let's talk about the transport of ammonium and how, in which step we're using B6. We have to know this step anyways, so might as well learn it now. Now if you are anyone like me, I had a lot of trouble remembering what verse to what. So came up with a way of remembering them which was easier for me. So I will be talking about that right now. So remember how the protein catabolism had the AST and the ALT. So there was lots of A's in there. So what I did was I put 3 A's on top, and in the second row I put AGP, and you'll see why exactly why I'm doing that. So that's going to be our amino acid. Our amino acid is going to contain the ammonium. Now our amino acid is going to be converted alpha ketoacid. Okay? At the same time, we are going to be converting alpha ketoglutarate. So A for amino, A for alpha ketoacid, A for alpha ketoglutarate. It's going to convert alpha ketoglutarate to glutamate. And now this amino group is going to come from here all the way to here. It's going to change hands and come right here. So this process right here, we're going to use our B6. And the enzyme that is going to be used here is AST, aminotransferase. Okay, so see how the glutamate, alpha ketoglutarate, there's a G here, got converted to glutamate, right? Okay, so our glutamate is going to get converted back to our alpha ketoglutarate. And here also we are using B6, okay? Glutamate is going back to alpha ketoglutarate, and this enzyme is carried by ALT, okay? This is also coupled with the conversion of pyruvate to alanine, okay? So glutamate converting back to alpha ketoglutarate using ALT, and this is also converting pyruvate to alanine. And now alanine is a form of amino acid that is ready to go outside the muscle. By the way, this was all going on in the muscle cell. So now our alanine contains our ammonium. Our alanine is ready to go outside our muscle with the ammonium group onto the liver. So imagine that this is the liver. And there is a reason this entire process is going to take part exactly in the liver. And the liver is going to shuttle the ammonium and make urea. And I wrote it down vertically rather than horizontally. It's because sometimes this enzymes does not come horizontally, sometimes they come vertically. So we have to be able to recognize and jump onto the question right away, no matter which situation that they give us, right? So again, it's the same thing, so we should not be scared. So again, we have our amino acid here, amino acid. This is going to be our alpha ketoglutarate. This is going to be our alanine. Okay, nothing has changed really. I mean, it's the same thing. This is going to be our alpha ketoacid. This is going to be glutamate, and this is going to be pyruvate. So our alanine is here in the liver right now. So now let's imagine that our alanine is here, and alanine is going to convert. So imagine that this is the alanine that is coming from the muscle. So I'm going to draw it like so. And this alanine is being converted to pyruvate, right? This is also using the enzyme ALT, and we're using the vitamin B6. Along with it, this is converting alpha ketoglutarate to glutamate, an exact same enzyme and exact same vitamin. Now this glutamate, I mean, this process can keep on going, but really this glutamate is going to form, it's going to use the ammonia to form urea, okay? So you see how important pyridoxine is in protein metabolism, and this is all taking place in the liver, and if this does not take place, then we don't have liver metabolism, right? We do not have getting rid of all the ammonia that we have in our system. So moving on to heme synthesis. Now heme synthesis, we have glycine and succinylcholine, and the first step of heme synthesis is the one where we're going to be using our B6, and the enzyme is going to be synthase, okay? ALA synthase, and ALA synthase is going to be making our delta ALA, which I mentioned at the very beginning. The delta ALA is going to be made, and we will be needing B6 for that. But since we're here, might as well really do a quick review of heme synthesis. Now, delta ALA is being converted to porphobilinogen using the enzyme ALA dehydratase. Then our porphobilinogen is been converted to uroporphyrinogen. It should be there. It should be a 3 here. Urine porphyrinogen 3 by using the enzyme uroporphyrinogen 1 synthase. Uroporphyrinogen 1 synthase. This is the 1 synthase. Okay. Now uroporphyrinogen 3 is then later on, after a couple of steps, gets converted to protoporphyrin, which then gets converted to heme, and here we're using the enzyme heme synthase. Okay, heme synthase. So really we're using only one vitamin in the entire heme synthesis, and that is B6. There is no other vitamin anywhere else, so it's quite important. So moving on to what is famously called the vomit pathway, because it makes all of us vomit because it's just so ugly looking, right? But you know, we have to love these things because it's going to come in our exam, so might as well go through it really quickly. So really, in the vomit pathway, what's happening? We have our TCA here, and succinylcholine is one of the substrates of TCA. So we're going to go from the bottom. Homocysteine is being converted to cystathionine, which after a couple of steps gets converted to methylmalonyl-CoA. Methylmalonyl-CoA is then converted to succinyl-CoA, and this is how homocysteine finally enters our TCA. Now, homocysteine to cystathionine, here in this step is where we are using B6. We're also using the enzyme cystathionine synthase because we're making cystathionine. But since we're here, might as well see where other vitamins are being used as well. So I'm writing homocysteine from here to here. Homocysteine has been converted to methionine. Methionine has been converted to SAM. And homocysteine to methionine, we're using two vitamins that are very important in our bodies, which are folate and B12. And those two vitamins, folate is going to be used in the form of tetrahydrofolate, which is going to convert homocysteine to methionine, methionine to SAM, and SAM to homocysteine, and back to homocysteine to cystathionine using the enzyme B6, cystathionine finally to methylmalonyl-CoA, which is using B12, which is making succinyl-CoA, and which then enters the TCA. So really we're using three vitamins in the vomit pathway: folic acid, B12, and B6. We're using B12 in two different situations, from methylmalonyl-CoA to succinyl-CoA, and homocysteine to methionine, two different spots, but we're only using B6 in only one spot, and that is homocysteine to cystathionine.